welcome to Daily Prelims Practice. Here we take up MCQs based on the Hindu and the Indian Express newspaper. Topics for today's discussion are displayed on your screen. Let's begin the discussion.
The first question of today's session is based on article which appeared on page number 6 of the Hindu. Recently, Supreme Court has upheld 2017 Amendment Act that relates to Jallikattu. The court has stated that the laws are in concurrence with Entry 17 that relates to prevention of cruelty to animals of the concurrent list and Article 51AG that relates to compassion to loving creatures of the Constitution. UPSC in the past has asked questions relating to the cultural history of India. For example, in 2014 question appeared on Kalari Payyattu. On similar lines, we have curated a practice MCQ. Here, the question says, with reference to cultural history of India, consider the following statements. The first statement says, Jallikattu is an animal sport played as part of Mattu Pongal celebrations. Now, this statement is correct. Jallikattu is a bull taming sport played in Tamil Nadu as part of the Pongal celebrations on Mattu Pongal Day, which occurs annually in January. The second statement says the Koraga communities of Tulunadu region are traditionally associated with Jallikattu. This statement is incorrect, as traditionally Jallikattu is associated with Ayar tribes people who lived in the Mullai, also known as forest land region of the ancient Tamil Nadu. Coming to the third statement, Silapadikaram, the epic of Sangam period, has made reference to celebration of Jallikattu. This statement is correct, as Jallikattu has been known to be practiced during the Tamil classical period dating 400 to 100 BCE. There are also references to people observing and practicing the Jallikattu in Silapadikaram, the great epic of Tamil classical period, and also another ancient work, Kali Thogai. Here in this question, you had to identify the incorrect statements. From the discussion, it is clear option number B is the correct answer. Answer for this previous year question is option D. The next question we will discuss is based on the news article which appeared on page number 8 of the Hindu. The article talks about open network for digital commerce. To democratize e-commerce, the government is considering to formally launch open network for digital commerce. ONDC's pilot version was launched last year in few major cities. The government with this project is aiming to end the domination of e-commerce marketplace by few large platforms. In the past, UPSC has asked questions related to e-governance initiatives. For example, in 2020-22, question appeared on the same topic. Similarly, we have here curated a practice MCQ. The question says, consider the following statements with reference to open network for digital commerce. The first statement says open network digital commerce is an e-commerce protocol developed by Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. The statement is incorrect, as ONDC is a private non-profit Section 8 company established by Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, which comes under Ministry of Commerce and Industry. The second statement says ONDC aims to boost the platform-centric model of commerce by giving greater access to small merchants. The statement is incorrect, as ONDC is based on open network model as against the platform-centric model, where the buyer and seller have to use the same platform or application to be digitally visible and do a business transaction. Here you had to identify the correct statements. From the discussion above, option D becomes our correct answer. Answer for this previous year question is option D. The third question of our session is based on the article which appeared on page number 8 of Hindu. Humane Pangenome Reference Consortium has released a Pangenome reference map built using genomes from 47 anonymous individuals. A complete and error-free human pangenome map will help in understanding genetic variants in some populations and underlying health conditions and explain human diversity better. Questions from science sections, for example related to biology, chemistry, is common in UPSC Prelims. For example, in 2021 question appeared on genomes. On similar lines, we have curated a practice MCQ. The question says, consider the following statements. The first statement says, a gene is the entire set of genetic instructions found in a cell. The statement is incorrect, as it is not gene but Genome, which is the entire set of genetic instruction found in a cell. Human genome is the entire set of DNA residing in the nucleus of every cell of the human body. It carries the complete genetic information responsible for development and functioning of an organism. Whereas a gene is considered a basic unit of inheritance, it is a region of DNA that comprises of a particular set of instructions for a particular function. The second statement says genome sequencing involves identifying the order of base pairs in DNA to decode the genetic fingerprint of a human. The statement is correct, as genome sequencing is the process of determining the complete DNA sequence of an organism's genome. It involves identifying the order of base pairs, adenine, cytosine, guanine, and thymine that make up the DNA molecule in each of the chromosomes to decode the genetic fingerprint of a human. Here you had to identify the correct statements. From the discussion, we get option B as the correct answer. Answer for this previous year question is option B. The fourth question of today's session is based on Krishna water dispute between Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. As both the governments have failed to reach a resolution, the dispute over the distribution of Krishna river water is far from getting over. Questions related to non-constitutional, executive and statutory bodies are area of interest from the UPSC Prelims perspective. As in 2019, question appeared on National Green Tribunal and Central Pollution Control Board. On similar lines, we have curated a practice MCQ. The first statement says the Constitution authorizes state legislatures to provide for a law for the adjudication of any interstate water dispute. The statement is incorrect, as per Article 262 of the Constitution, the Parliament and not state legislatures may by law provide for the adjudication of any dispute or complaint with respect to use, distribution or control of the waters. The second statement says the Interstate Water Disputes Act 1956 provides for the original jurisdiction of Supreme Court in matters referred to Water Dispute Tribunal. This statement again is incorrect, as according to Article 262 subclause 2, Parliament may by law provide that neither the Supreme Court nor any other court shall exercise jurisdiction in respect of any such dispute or complaint as is referred to the tribunal. The Interstate Water Disputes Act 1956 has barred jurisdiction of Supreme Court and other courts in respect of any water dispute which may be referred to a tribunal under this act. Here you had to identify the correct statement. From the above discussion, neither of the statements are correct, hence option D is the correct answer. Answer for this previous year question is option B. The fifth question of today's session is based on the article of Indian Express. The article says while all elephants, African and Asian, are social animals, the search for their prospective mates has run into a quagmire of monetary, legal, logistical and ethical consideration. For example, bringing an animal will also require CITES permission. Environmental organizations at world, regional and national level are important for the UPSC examination. For example, in 2015, question appeared on International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources and Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species. Similarly, we have curated a practice MCQ. The question says consider the following statements about CITES, the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species. The first statement says the aim is to ensure that international trade does not threaten survival of wild animals only. The given statement is incorrect, as its aim is to ensure that international trade in specimens of wild animals plus plants does not threaten the survival of the species. The second statement says it is legally binding on parties and hence replaces the national laws. The statement is incorrect, as although CITES is legally binding on the parties, in other words, they have to implement a convention, it does not take the place of national laws. Rather, it provides a framework to be respected by each party, which has to adopt its own domestic legislation to ensure that CITES is implemented at the national level. The third statement says Appendix 1 consists of species that are threatened with extinction. The statement is correct. CITES works by subjecting international trade in specimens of selected species to certain controls. For example, Appendix 1 includes species threatened with extinction. Trade in specimens of these species is permitted only in exceptional circumstances. Here you had to identify the correct statements. From the discussion, option D becomes our correct answer. Answer for this previous year question is option B. The last question of today's session is based on the article which appeared on page number 15 of Indian Express. The article highlights that the trend of rising CAPEX in the Indian economy is expected to continue for at least for another 3 years. To ramp up the virtuous cycle of investment and job creation, the budget has steeply increased the capital expenditure outlay by 37.4% in the year 2023-24. Capital expenditure forms a key part of the government's fiscal policy and hence is important from the prelims point of view as well. In 2020-22, question appeared on the expenditure made by an organization or a company. On similar lines, we have curated a practice MCQ. The question says which of the following factors are responsible for capital expenditure in the Indian economy. The first option given is buoyant revenue collection. This factor is correct, as if we go through the budget statement, it says direct tax revenue collections have been highly buoyant and so have GST collections, which should ensure the full expending of the CAPEX budget within the budgeted fiscal deficit. The second factor given is growth in revenue expenditure. This is incorrect, as the growth in revenue expenditure has also been limited to pave the way for higher growth in the capital expenditure. The third factor given is increasing private sector investment. This is correct. The pickup in the private sector investment since the January-March quarter of 2020-22, it shows an increasing trend in announced projects and the CAPEX spending by the private players. Here, you had to select the correct answer from the code given below. From the above discussion, it is clear option B is the correct answer. Answer for this previous year question is option A.